This is a quick performance installation video for K10014. This is a big block that we're going to adapt to put the small block brackets on the front of it by a series of plates, and this is the installation video. In the kit, there'll be a series of 7 plates that are going to allow you to adapt this bracket onto your big block. 3 of them are large like this, and 2 of them have 2 large holes here, and that's going to be for your freeze plugs. Now you'll notice that there's a slight difference in the shape here, and that's so that you don't get confused about which side goes where. This will be going on the passenger side, and this will be going on the driver's side, and this second plate here will stack on top of it after we install it. Over the years, there's been some difference in the way that the big block cylinder heads have been. This one here is a 454, and it actually has 7/16 bolts there and there. However, there are some with 3/8 thread there, and we have included enough in the kit to do either one. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and take our 7/16 by 1 bolt and get it threaded there and threaded here. These two are going to be obscured in a later step, so we are going to go ahead and torque those down now. These are both 7/16, so that's going to be 40 foot-pounds. If these were 3/8, that would be 25 foot-pounds. What I want to do is go ahead and take a 3/8 bolt and just thread it in there. That way we can get this centered in the hole the best we can and go ahead and get her torqued down. Over here on the driver's side, we're going to install it the same way. We are going to stack both plates. These are 3/8 holes, so we're going to make sure that we have our hole here for the freeze plug. Stack it just like so. 1.25 inches by 3/8, and we'll just put those on there just like that. Once again, we're going to leave these at just finger tight, and we can get those nice and lined up. These will hide behind the brackets anyway, but we want to make sure that we got it where we need it. Now we're ready for the next step. We're over here on the driver's side, down low, and we're going to install the racetrack, because it's just a smooth oval, with the plate that corresponds with the smooth oval there. The smooth oval goes in the back, like so, and you just take your 7/16 bolts and get them started like that. Once again, finger tight. Just take that down so it's attached so some stuff doesn't fall off. I want to draw your attention to these Siamese holes. The reason why they exist is that this works on both the short and the tall deck. We're down here low on the passenger side, and on this side it's going to use the dog bone shape, and so we're going to line up this dog bone with this here. We're going to have these Siamese holes just like so, and we're just going to bolt this up. We're going to leave it somewhat loose so that when we bolt up our bracket, we got a little bit of wiggle room. There you have it. We're getting ready to install the AC side, and I wanted to draw your attention to a couple differences in castings over the years. This is the one that we prefer, the one that we like, just a simple R4. Has the option for an idler here as well, tensioner mounted here. In the instructions, we do call out the 2 most commonly found brackets, give you their casting number. This here was a smog pump, so during those regulations this was added here. I do want to, this bracket will bolt up. I will mention that you do need these bolts down here in order to stabilize the bracket, so don't think that you can just hack the bracket off there and it still works. But either one of these will work. This one is obviously a lot prettier, and that's the one we're going to use for the installation. All right, we're ready to install this here. There's a 3-inch and a 3.5 inch. Now this 3-inch bolt is going into the threaded portion of our adapter plate, and it's very important that it doesn't go through the other side because that'll cause misalignment. What we've done is included 2 3/8 washers to shorten up this bolt just a little bit. There'll still be plenty of thread engagement, but that's going to make sure it doesn't poke out the other side. Make sure you install this. So the 3.5 inch goes on the outside out here because it's going to go through the plate and into the cylinder head, and a 3-inch because it's just going into our mounting plate here into a threaded hole, and we don't want it to go too deep because it'll actually cause misalignment. So I'm going to get this started on there just like so. Drop that one down into its hole. And for right now, once again, we're just taking these down to finger tight. We'll torque here in a minute when we got everything up. That way we don't have any sort of binding. All right, let's bolt on the bottom. All right, now we're going to take a 3/8 1.5 inch bolt and slide it through the bottom of the bracket here. There is a nut on the back side that will catch that. And we'll just go ahead and Run that down, and we'll torque that up in a later step. We're ready to install the alternator power steering bracket. We're going to have a bolt that goes into the cylinder head here, and then 2 threaded holes that go here. So the threaded holes obviously get a shorter bolt. Go ahead and load this one up. We'll do this one here in a second. Longer goes here. Get it set up there. Get it aligned best you can. Get it to where it can hold itself up. Wiggle, wiggle. And then when you have this on there, you can poke that into that back hole there. Once again, leaving it loose so that you have an opportunity to fix any misalignment, or if a bolt wants to be a little extra. Leave these finger tight, and we'll move down here to the bottom. We're going to take our 3/8 bolts and install them here in the lower portion of the bracket, pushing those through, getting your nut on. It's a bit of a tight fit, especially if you're doing an engine bay, but it's no harder than doing the stock GM stuff. And we got the bottom one here, going to do the same thing. Once again, this is Siamese holes, so if you have a tall deck, this will work on that as well. All right, now I believe we are ready to go through a torque sequence. We're now going to go through a torque process on these castings here. 3/8 bolts, we're going to torque down to 25 foot-pounds. Any 7/16 bolts will torque down to 40. Now this kit was designed around the belt spacing on an 88 to 2000 454 Chevy truck. So it's going to work with the stock 454 water pump and also the stock crank pulley. But a lot of times this crank pulley isn't easy to find or it's expensive. So we have an adapter plate that allows you to use the small block either off of the system that you just pulled off, or you can get one of these new cheap still. There are 2 different types of these adapters. There's the early style, and then there's the Gen 6 style. So just reference those when you need that. One is the K10259, one is the K10540. Just figure out which one you got, and that'll help you put a small block right here. Now that we've got your brackets installed, we're ready to install the accessories. We're going to let you do that on your own. There's a couple different configurations that happen there, but we do call out a recommended belt length. It is just a recommendation. Different things that can affect that: size of your alternator case, and sometimes there's a little bit of variation in the R4 compressor as well. The most important thing is going to be where your tensioner marks are here. So we'll call out a belt, we'll get you really close, but do need you to follow up with that to make sure that your belt's not too loose.